Welcome to Psychics. This is Michael Edley, evidential medium and mystic, discussing all things spiritual. Hello, I'm Mary Amy of Choose Psychics, an intuitive wisdom coach, tapping into your mystical life and sharing messages I receive.
Good evening. Good evening. Can you hear me, my wonderful co-host, Mary Amy?
I can. How are
I
you?
am doing wonderful. Good evening, everyone. Such a pleasure to be here for another episode of Two Psychics, episode 42, I believe. Wow, pretty amazing.
Yes.
And it's just a good night to be here because it is snowing outside on the Jersey Shore. It's very cold. I'm bundled up and I'm still cold. You look like you're ready for summer, like you're ready to go on the beach. I'm like all bundled up. And so how are you? Are you getting some of this nice snow here on the coast here where we are?
In New York here, it's sprinkling, and
Yeah.
can't really tell how it's going to go. If it's going to end up being a couple of inches. I don't even look at what the forecast is, but I made it here, and I am dressed like I'm here in this office space. I'm not outside. You're more out in the wilderness over there in New Jersey.
Not really the wilderness, more the shore, but it feels like it. It's but it's nice.
Arctic.
But I'm
You're in the
glad. Yeah, yeah. But I'm glad to be here. Have a busy weekend coming up. Have a weekend filled with events, so I'm kind of going nonstop. So I like this. This is my last kind of down moment of relaxation and rest before I get into sound checks and all the rigmarole of live events. So it's good. It's good. But yeah, yeah. I'm glad to be here. We have some callers, I think, tonight. We have a fantastic guest.
We
And
do. So
yeah.
here we are. It's Two Psychics, episode 42, and everyone out there knows that we've moved to Spreaker.com. We're also on Rumble, Spotify, iTunes, Odyssey, something like that. There's just a whole array of platforms that we're on, and I actually have a couple people that reached out to me for more, and maybe we're going to do some kind of web series together. I didn't even say anything to Michael yet. So tonight it's exciting. Let me remind you that you can find Michael at ihavethespirits.com and myself at maryamyofficial.com. And we do events together or separate. We also do, he does his mediumship readings and I do my intuitive readings. And so coming forward tonight, we have a caller who's supposed to come on. I think I might have to just message her and say, time to come on. And then I'm excited tonight's topic, which I do have a bit of information. It's going to take a while. ET contact. What is that? Extraterrestrial contact. And we have a guest, Lotus Rain, and she is an extraterrestrial experiencer, and she's also an energy healer and positive energy. And then we're supposed to have another guest. We'll see. It's all in the moment. We're here in real time. This is where all the energy lies. I want to let everybody know that you can find here's some right here. Here's a mug. Here's one of our mugs. This also comes in color. We have our merchandise on Spreadshop. We also have upcoming March 13th, Ida Spritzer, and she is a intuitive, a healer. We have an author of Dragon Spirit Guide. She's a crystal expert. We have Mujin Choi. These are all March magnetic chakra healer. And we have Grethel Baraggio, who's a light language channeler. Okay. So that's pretty exciting right now. I'm going to start messaging and see if she wants to come on now before we get to the topic. What do you think? Should I do that, Michael?
It's up to you. It's up to you. It's all good. Whichever way we want to go with it, I am fine.
Okay, here we go. Uh, so tonight's topic, let's just see how long it takes her to get through. But we are ready to go. Here we are. All right. Well, she's not calling yet. I just want to say, is there any kind of interesting experiences you had? Because I had a very vivid dream this week, and it was very, very telling. Did you have any unusual experiences?
No, well, for me, see, it's been a little wacky because I messed up my shoulder a little bit, and
Hmm.
I've been having very sporadic sleep. Like I roll over one way, but But what I found was I started going into these almost like these energy cycles where I felt like my body wanted to naturally trance. Like as I was starting to sleep, even in dreamlike states, what I would find is I would have connecting dreams, and my kind of the shoulder. When I screwed that up, it kind of messed up, I guess, this energetic cycle I was going into. But what I felt was I was getting connective, almost in like a dreamlike state. It was allowing my body to process new energy downloads, or new. What I say is when we're working in the spirit realm and we get to this, to this level where we're consistently doing it, we're kind of open and always tuning in our body. I believe there's certain cycles that we can go through where not only are we trying to elevate our energy, but I do believe our collective, our guides, the angelic presence around us, everyone that's in our collective and everyone that makes that up is trying to also instill and imprint the energy. And if we can find that, I guess that common frequency where we can really tune into it and let our body kind of shut down and just let that information process and go into us, I do believe we can. It's almost like what you hear people talking about downloads, but we really can kind of raise our vibration and uplift, I guess, our energetic body in a sense. And it's really interesting. So I think a lot of people, and a lot of people I'm talking to, this is the period where when we're going through these type of cycles, you're feeling very restless, there. And it's interesting. I feel like on a soul level, that's really when our soul starts speaking to us. And if we're not aligned with our soul, or if we're not trying to get aligned with our soul, it's almost like a wake up call. And I think everything in our energetic body tries to draw us back in. And that's the biggest thing people need to understand. I mean, truly, we are like a split personality. We're like a split being. We're a spiritual being having a human existence. And this human body has all its own, its set of mechanisms and programs, survival, the ego, all these different things. And I feel like the soul is almost in a point, like, kind of overrides that, and it supersedes it. And that's where we start to regain control of our emotional body. We start to be more open and tuned into the energetic, awareness around us of the external energies and internal. So I think that's what's going on right now. We're definitely seeing one of those type of shifts where people that are actively going to work with this energy and want to, be open to it, pursue it, and really see what, how they can tune in and grow from it. I think it's one of those beautiful energetic cycles where we can see really significant amounts of growth. And this not only bringing us more peace and balance, but in our art, in our creativity, in our writing, this is like, these are those cycles, I think, where really, really magical work happens, and these are where breakthroughs can happen too. If someone's feeling very stuck, I do believe this is the type of energetic cycle that, we can really manifest quite a bit in.
Do you think that when you have this issue with your shoulder, do you think that it's something that you have to let go? Here she is. Okay, we'll talk about this after. Hi, you there, Caitlin?
Hi, yes, I'm here.
Oh, hi. Can you hear her, Michael?
Hello, Caitlin. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am good. So where are you calling in from? And what question did you have for two psychics tonight?
I'm calling in from Port Chester, New York.
Okay, excellent. So you're kind of in our area, and are you getting a little bit of this snow? The snow flurries coming down?
Yeah.
Nice, excellent. And what question did you have for us?
My question was, what energy do I bring around people?
All right, so it's an interesting question. So what I want to do first, like when we get into this, it's almost like a psychic kind of question. What's your energy systems? Maybe what energy systems can you align with for your highest and best? I mean, these are the things that start coming to me of what your collective wants to talk about. So what I want you to do, so Mary and I can connect to your energy, and
Yeah.
I just want you to say your name very slowly, and by you doing that, we're going to connect to you on an energetic level.
Caitlin Farias.
Caitlin. All right, Caitlin. Interesting. So, a couple of things come to me right now. The biggest thing is I still feel like you're in the very early stages of kind of finding your energy, finding your place, finding like what your soul's calling you to do and where it's aligning you. So what I would say for the your most benefit right now, I would be very open to many different options and kind of experiencing many different things. Like if you're into a certain type of music or a certain type of art, or you're doing certain creative things, I would kind of expand on those. And I would just really like if you're at a point where you kind of know where you're being called, but I almost feel like you don't. That's why you're asking us this question. You kind of are still feeling it out and what's going on. I would definitely say I feel like you're young enough. Your energy feels young. It feels very
Yeah.
vibrant. I would definitely say more often than not, we always think we have to have it figured out sooner than it needs to be. And I think that makes us kind of jump into certain situations that we're not fully vested in or we're not wholeheartedly happy in. I think you have enough time and the point where you're at to kind of try different things and experience different things. Now, what's very interesting is on an energetic level. So I have to talk about mom's connection. So as far as mediumship, when we connect on an energetic level, I never know. I'm not in full mediumship mode, but I'm open to it. And if different things come to me, I want to bring them in. I have to talk about mom's side of the family. So I have that. Mom is still here, correct? Mom is still here in the physical world.
Yes.
Okay. I have to ask about like a sister or so grandma. It's weird. This doesn't. This feel. Is there an aunt or is there a good friend of mom's that you would have known that had passed away recently, maybe around like a number three or a March? I don't know if this was last year of March or 23, but do you know of like a good family friend or one of mom's friends that could potentially be around you in spirit? And maybe there could also be an A. I don't know if they're talking about the A being tied into your family. I know this isn't her name that I'm connecting to, but I feel like they're also showing me the A initial for some reason. Can you take or do you understand any of that?
Um, a little bit. I mean, not that I know of.
Okay, you're not. So let me ask you this. Do you know if mom had lost, like over the last few years, was there like an associate, a coworker, friend, like a close friend or someone that she was tied into, could even be work related, like an associate that she would have known that had passed away?
I know
No.
not that I know of. I know
Okay.
one of our family members in the
Is
last like 3 years.
okay, was it female? Was it a woman? It's a woman?
It was a male.
It was a male. Interesting. Is there an A? Would there be an A around him or connected to him? Or do we have a grandmother also that could be connected to mom that's there with an A initial last, something around the family with an Ann, something with the A?
Not that I'm thinking of.
Okay. So what's interesting is just I want to talk about an A initial in your energy field. So if you don't know this name or this initial, it could still be there and it could be a family member that passed. And like I said, I'm not
Mhm.
fully kind of tuned in right now. I'm more tuned in psychically to the energy fields around you and potential and possibilities. But what's interesting is I'm getting the overwhelming um, sense of an A being integral to something now. So I would just be aware when I get an initial like that, and you can't take it as a close friend, a family member, like someone that's around you right now, that A could potentially be a significant initial for you as a positive connection in the future. So the A could be, I'll just give you an example, Anthony. So there could be, if you're single looking to, romantic interests, the A could be significant. Anne, Anna, Anthony. So be aware of that A. It could also be if you're looking for like a new career path or there's a career or new job starting and there's an
Mhm.
A around that or like the location. I'll just give you an example. Say you started a new job and the office address was A1 that you're in. Oh, wow. Okay. There's an A
Yeah.
associated. The A initial for some way, shape, or form is a positive connection to you of some kind of energy cycle that's around that. I feel like there's potential of this opening in the future. So usually that's the next several weeks, several months that I'm sensing that in. So just be aware if So let me ask you this, and then I'm going to turn it over to Mary Amy, because I know we got a little bit of limited time on these because we have kind of a jam-packed schedule tonight. But is there an energy cycle? Is there a new job, a new relationship, something going on right now that I could be getting that A for? Is there a new energy cycle opening?
Yes, there is.
Okay, so what exactly is that? Is that work or relationship?
It would be a relationship.
Okay, is there an A tied into that any way, shape, or form? Like the person's first name, last name?
Yeah, the first name.
It is an A. It is an
Yeah.
A. How funny is it? Okay, so that's how this works. So just know the funny thing is, see, me not knowing anything about you, that's truly how this works in the most effective, evidential way. Because I don't know anything about what you're doing, what's going on, but just from connecting on an energetic level and your collective kind of imprinting and downloading on me, that A being a positive connection to you. So I would just say the relationship, the energy I'm reading around this or what they're showing me is that A is a positive connection for you. So I would say don't get completely consumed and overwhelmed with this relationship, but obviously there's good energy to it. So if you had concerns or is this for me or, is this something like, is this a good thing? Should I be very, happy and elated over this energetic connection? I would say, yeah,
Yeah.
the A seems like a good connection. That's what they're showing me. So I really appreciate you validating that piece of information coming through and that evidence. So I would definitely say with that A connection and me seeing that and picking that up on an energetic level, it's a very positive connection for you. So I'm happy to see that, and I'm happy to receive that energy for you, because it's definitely a very good thing that could potentially unfold from that. So Mary Amy, what do you got?
Hi, Caitlin. Nice to talk to you. Okay, so Caitlin, your question was related to energy. I'll tell you what I received. Immediately, I heard sunshine, sea. And then I saw a boat, and you're traveling alone in this boat, and a bird lands down next to you. Now, the sunshine and the sea represent positivity and growth and universal presence that you have. And the boat that you're alone in this water. Now, it's not a rough sea. It's just a beautiful landscape of the ocean. It represents you traveling from point A to point B, and that you can overcome anything that's thrown at you. There's a serenity that you have and that you're seeking to stay in. You are independent, sweet, understanding. I then saw you at a fair holding cotton candy, which is this desire to be carefree, have a carefree attitude. You have an innocence. However, you are very calculating and you have a strong perception. Like, you are more aware than people realize innately. You are capable of realizing, and I don't know, I think I do know, it's your ability to be able to access other people's energy. You're asking us, and I think you already know the answer. Okay, so you like to do this trial and error of what works. You have a deep pain that you're protecting. Your heart should be protected. And I suggest that you do not share yourself and have vulnerability unless you really know the person, so that you aren't hurt. You really want to have successful relationships and you're tired of trying. It's time to wait, observe, and pay attention. You're ready to leave behind what's already happened. You're full of energy, and I'm telling you that you can be a great manifester. You are able to see the future and visualize it. So my suggestion would be to get into a quiet space, let out a breath, focus on your breathing, and really close your eyes and visualize somewhere in you, your mind, your spirit, visualize what you want. And I trust, because you're very absolute about your decisions. When you make a decision, you follow through. So I believe that you already know what you want. You just need to manifest it by seeing it, and you will find a path to get there. That's what I got.
Thank you.
Not that we wanted to overwhelm you with information, but it's a lot of good information. So I think there's a lot of positive energy cycles that are opening for you right now. So, just be very present. Be very present to the energy of others, the present to the energy of your environment, and then allow your psychic energy, that intuitive energy, to guide you. You use that as a compass. if internally that gut instinct is telling you, yeah, jump in and this is good, I say follow that, kind of tune into that and start working with that energy. That's your soul speaking to you. That's that divine presence within that's trying to guide us into the best possible outcome that we can have. So just start tuning into your intuition, allow that to start developing your psychic senses, and really start keying in on that energy. I think right now, if that's anything, if we could give you any suggestion, that would be my first suggestion: is really start working with your energy, start being aware of your psychic abilities. Keep tuning into us. Follow Mary Amy, stuff she's posting, follow stuff I'm posting. We do a lot of stuff on social media. We bring people through different exercises and different things that they can use to start developing their energetic systems. So that would be the most beneficial thing, I think, that right now where you can start at. And I think that will help guide your path, and that will help align you with where you're going. And again, thanks for that validation of that A initial, because that, they're showing me that that's a positive connection for you.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And before you go, I just want to say, Caitlin, that you should feel relieved, because right now you're traveling, and you're traveling in the right direction with the right perspective and the right attitude, and you have all the ingredients to get wherever you want to be and do whatever you want to do. Okay?
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, thank
Bye.
you.
Have a good night.
All
You
right,
too.
have a great night too. Bye. Oh, she's done. Okay, well, that was a nice start. We do have someone else that was calling in, but they're going to come in after our guest. Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Coming on in a few minutes, so I'm just going to go right into the topic if that's okay.
Yeah.
What is ET contact? It's extraterrestrial communication from ET civilizations. It's signs of life from outer space. ET contacts are meetings between humans and extraterrestrial life. There's organizations called the SETI org, and it's a search for extraterrestrial intelligence. There's CETI org, or communication with extraterrestrial intelligence. I'm going to give you a little bit backstory about what our country has known about extraterrestrials. So everyone out there probably has heard of NASA, which is the Natural Aeronautics and Space Administration, Advanced Space Exploration and Space Program. So what is ET contact? Well, it can be simply signals from off-planet, technological contact, radio transmissions, transmitters, and you receive radio frequencies. There's I can't even say the word. Astronomy. It's not that word. Observation. So out there in the universe, I guess, out there in the planets. Radio telescopes, computer algorithms, search for intelligence. First contact with aliens. Human civilizations will shift culturally and socially. Humanity will shift. So ET life from another world is light years away. Now, we've heard of UFOs crash like 1947, Roswell, and there was ancient astronauts. Physical contact with spaceships, extraterrestrials on Earth, government containment are called non-human biologics, pilots from these crafts. Now, in 2024, there were whistleblowers with the Pentagon UAP task force, which was known as Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon or Unidentified Anomalous Phenomenon. Major David Grush knows exact locations of UAPs in the U.S. possession, federal and military agencies, and unexplained encounters. Navy fighter pilot Ryan Graves, Commander David Fravor, UAP and UFO encounter aircrafts. Now, this one man back in 1972 decided that he was going to give categories of contact. Now, we all have heard, it's called Of the Third Kind, the Steven Spielberg movie. What's that called? Something.
Oh, Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Right. So it's kind of based on this. So he labeled them physical contacts. So there's 7 categories of contact, which I can figure out where I stand in this. So the 7 categories, the first kind is citing one or more UFO flying saucers, objects not of human technology origin, and strange lights in the sky. Second kind is UFO seen, phenomenon of crop circles. damage, upset animals, mechanical interference, radiation, heat, paralysis, physical occurrences. Okay, so third kind would be you spot a UFO and there's visual confirmation. Fourth kind, there's a bunch, here we go. Fourth kind is human abducted by an extraterrestrial, a visitation, and you're in custody of extraterrestrial communication, which is mental, telepathic communication, and it's initiated by a human or an extraterrestrial. There's 7 kinds. The 6th kind is a UFO causing injury or death, physical contact, and this is unbelievable. 7th kind is human and extraterrestrial mate and produce a hybrid being. Ancient Egyptians believe this. Now, this is funny. The US Congress, I think it's funny, weird funny, passed in 1969 the extraterrestrial exposure law, where astronauts that had to be quarantined after returning from Earth in case they carry any alien forms. Now, some of movies we've seen, sci-fi movies, they do that. It's probably based on this law. Then it was repealed in 1977. Then what came about in 1967, even before that, was the UN Treaty of Principles governing activities of states in exploration and use of outer space. And it's quoted, outer space treaty. No human or nation can own a part or whole of any planet. Province of all mankind, states parties to the treaty shall immediately inform other states parties to the treaty or the Secretary General of the UN, which could constitute danger to life or health of astronauts. Now, in 2011, the director of UN Office for Outer Space Affairs said before contact made, we must be able to handle this interaction because maybe there'll be some kind of contamination of alien life. I know I'm giving you a lot, but I found a lot. Trying to get it all in. Now, has anybody out there heard of Dr. Stephen Greer? He's a ufologist. You've heard of him, right, Michael?
Yes, I've heard of him.
So he has what's called the Disclosure Project, and he believes there's this way of contacting. You know, I mentioned radio signals. He believes that you can do this thing called zoom out from the Earth. So he does what's called group meditations, and there's CE5, and there's a protocol. So here's how you contact extraterrestrials, extra-dimensional beings. First, you find a quiet space. You prep by breathing. You do relaxation, cleansing. You do some protection around you. You think of positive vibes. You do this deep meditation. You become this beacon of light and love. And then you have this intention from your inner voice that you're asking to make contact. You send a beam of light directly above you, sending your location, which is your town, your state, your country, your city, and then you visualize up in the universe all of this. And that's how allegedly that he's had contact. In fact, some of these UAPs have circled around his group meditations that he's done outside. Okay, there's been some famous captured aliens, extraterrestrials. One was this extraterrestrial, which I have a picture somewhere here. His name was J-Rod, and he was held in captivity, and they wanted to test him for samples. And I had it before I started, but maybe oh, here it is. I don't know if you can see, but this was from some interview online. And he was known as the Ambassador Extraterrestrial, and he was a gray alien that crashed in Kingman, Arizona. And he was held at Groom Lake, which is known as S4 at Area 51. And he escaped from confinement by the man who was taking his tissue samples. They became friends after a few years. He brought him to Egypt and let him out in this natural Stargate. This is some kind of story. So this is what was said. He said they took tissue samples. His race had actually inhabited Earth many thousands of years prior before being faced to leave by several factors. So they lived on Earth, these gray aliens. Shift in poles, solar flares, and the crumbling of Earth. They returned because they lost genetic factor from the human race and to establish friendship. Now, grays are known to be tall, looking humanoid, which means they look like humans. They have a long head and they're known for abductions, right? There's what's called Octurians, and they are ancient and wise, and they're 5 feet tall, and they have large eyes, and they're known to be kind and loving. And I'm just going to name a few of these different extraterrestrial species. There's what's called Nordics, and they're blonde, blue-eyed, 6-foot, athletic, and they are here for well-being of humans. And they kind of look like they'd be in some kind of Marvel epic movie because they look very muscular. There's what's called the Palladians. You might have heard that from the Galactic Federation of Light. They resemble humans, they're sensitive, and they send psychic messages. There's the Anunnaki. A lot of people have heard that, which is an ancient extraterrestrial, and they're from the planet Nubru, and they're descendant of Mesopotamian culture, and they're interested in getting our gold on the planet. And here's some not so friendly. The Draconians, they're from a blue planet. They're known to be 22 feet tall, and they resemble dinosaurs. The reptilians are intelligent, scaly, human-sized, and they live in underground tunnels, and they're dangerous. I know I'm speaking fast. And then the blue avians are humanoid birds, and they're 8 feet tall, telepathic. They're physical touch, and blue sphere to transport and teleport to Earth. They're not bad, those guys. So that's what I have. You want to share anything you have, Michael?
I think you covered pretty much X, Y, and Z. No, it's interesting. I think what's going on, what we're seeing currently is more disclosure of things that have been hidden from us for many, many decades. And I think we're coming to the realization that there's been a past prior Earth history that they're either hiding or was wiped out. I mean, even when you look back at all the stuff that's coming out now about like Tartaria and all the what was really interesting too. So you talked about Dr. Stephen Greer. I was actually just reading a whole all this literature that he was putting out about the Egyptian pyramids and how when they were doing the LiDAR radar, so the new LiDAR technology that they have that they're utilizing to kind of scan, jungles, they're doing, subterranean caverns, they're doing the oceans, and it gives you a 3D modeling of what they're seeing down there, different shapes, different forms. That's how they're discovering all these ancient structures that are in the jungles, South America. We're finding, all throughout the planet, they're finding large structures in all the jungles. They're picking that up by LiDAR. But the interesting thing, what Dr. Stephen Greer was talking about, was a program that the Egyptian government put into place, utilizing LiDAR to try to see what was under the pyramids, or even trying to scan over and through the pyramids. And I guess depending on the type of rock, the thickness, and everything, I think they could see quite a bit, and they could see so many additional chambers, labyrinths, and even an extended, almost like an underground civilization could have lived between the pyramids, the Great Sphinx. But the most interesting thing is the LiDAR radar had picked up what appears to be like an ancient alien structure at the center, deep below the pyramid, deep below and so that's kind of wild to think that potentially our ancient structures could have been built, around alien technology, and is that why they were built? Did this alien technology provide a portal, or did it provide an energy source? Because the more and more you look into the pyramids, they weren't tombs. They were obviously some type of energetic structure, some type of structure that would facilitate energy transfer. And with the water, I mean, we could go into the structure of the granite, the crystals.
Right?
Yeah, the geometry, the positioning. I mean, there's something that's an episode all in of itself. But I found it very interesting that as soon as they discovered that, all the LiDAR documentation, everything that the Egyptian government was doing, all of a sudden it literally disappeared and went top secret. The information wasn't available to anyone that wasn't a government official or associated and affiliated with that program. So interesting. So they obviously didn't realize, I guess, how much this new technology could pick up. They start uncovering things they can't explain, and it's just, I don't know. I guess we're at that point where, do they worry people are gonna have this fear and are going to freak out. Are we going to cause chaos in society? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think too many people are open and aware of this. Too many
Yes,
people have had contact.
yes.
Our guest is here.
Yeah.
Ah, excellent. Okay, very
Let's
cool.
ask her what she thinks.
We can.
Let's ask her.
First-hand experience.
I know. Okay, so, let's see. Hello? Hello? Hi.
Hi,
How are you?
Hello, Lotus Rain. How are you?
how's it going?
How are
It
you?
is going well.
Rain, an energy healer and ET experiencer.
Hi, yeah, how's it going, you guys?
It is going good. Let me change my screen around so I can see all three of us. So, Lotus Rain, pleasure to have you here with us. And
Welcome.
and where are you? Where are you coming to us from?
I'm coming from Wisconsin, from
Ah, okay.
Watertown, Wisconsin.
Oh, so you're not enjoying any of that wonderful snow that we're getting out here, and I'm sure you're not. Or are you? Are you covered in snow?
We have snow out here. We have snow. It's been pretty cold.
How's it? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's been about 25 degrees, so it's been pretty cold.
Yeah, you're in
But
the Packer. So the Packer cheese zone. So is it? Do you have a cheese cap and everything for the
I
Packers and everything?
I don't for the Packers, yeah, but lots of people do out here though. Yeah.
No, that's cool. That's excellent. No, so it's great
Yeah.
having you here. So Mary Amy was telling us a little bit about your background, but what I'm always curious about, what was your exposure to this initially before like your initial content? Like, is this something you were exploring that you were kind of open to? You were really being called to kind of check out and what is this about or what happened? What brought you to this place that you're at now? Where did it start? How did this journey begin?
Well, I had ET contact when I was about 7 years old.
Mm.
And that was probably what started this whole journey was I had contact with Bashar and Anima, of who is channeled by Daryl Attica. And I had contact with them and I also had contact with the Yale Yale. And I had contact with them when I was about 7.
Mm.
So that was probably what started my journey was the
Mm.
contact with them. And then from there I started having dreams about contact on spaceships and stuff like that. Um, and then from there I started having I had another visitation with Anima and Mashar, and it was when I was about 9, I think. It was shortly before we moved to a new house. And it was very interesting. We talked about my journey. We talked about spiritually coming into alignment with my mission to heal Arcturus. And then they left as soon as my mom came in.
Now,
And yeah,
can I interrupt you for 1 second?
yeah.
So when you see them, are they in physical form? Or are they telepathically reaching out to you? What is the contact that you're making with them?
They're physical at the times that I'm talking about.
Wow,
But that's only been 3 times that they've been physical with me. Otherwise,
Mm.
they're telepathic.
got
Mm.
it. So you said Arcturian? Is that what you said? They're Arcturian?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, they're Sasani.
Sasani?
Those two are Sasani.
Okay. So what is
They're shapeshifters.
Oh.
They're shape-shifting creatures of light. They're fifth dimensional. So they came to see me via a portal and came through a portal to see me. And they were essentially creatures of light. So as soon as my mother came in and the vibration changed in the room, they were gone.
Mhm.
They were instantly gone. Because their vibration is just so high from the typical person. They're hard to see. I actually just had contact today. I was sitting on the stairs playing with my dog, and I saw, I call him Bashar Atheist. That's my name for him. And
Nice.
he came up to me and was standing at the base of the stairs. He was like, you can wave sometimes when you see me. And I waved, and he was like, and I was like, and then I had this like vision of these green dots coming towards me from like the matrix from his energy, and it was like really cool having contact with him. And I was like, oh, that's so funny that he had contact with me on the day that I'm gonna do this interview. So
That's pretty
that
well.
was pretty cool.
Were you a very tuned in psychically, like as a child, were you very aware of the energetic systems around you? Like, do you think that's kind of what tuned you into their frequencies and having these experiences? Is that something that was very natural for you?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. My family was involved like with the Illuminati when I was younger. They
Mm.
were brainwashed by the MK Ultra.
Oh wow. Oh wow. Now,
Yeah.
were your family members like, do they have psychic abilities? Were they able to kind of, do you feel like this is something that was naturally inherent with you as a child, and that natural energetic system kind of opened you to it being like a just an intuitive, being very tuned into that? Like, is that something that mom was also very intuitive and kind of a natural progression?
No,
Or
she kind of was, but she would never really admit it.
mm,
She's more of the type who keeps that kind of thing to herself and doesn't really want to admit it out in public.
okay, okay.
But she is that way though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, and I think it's it's becoming more and more acceptable to talk about. This is becoming more mainstream. People, we're not all looked at as crazy when we start talking about energy healing, ET
Yeah,
experiences, this whole spiritual realm around us too. But
right.
yeah, and it's interesting. Like what I find, just from what I've seen, and with what Mary Amy and I have done, I see that people that tend to key in and open to these energies, just natural psychic abilities, seem to align us. And I guess it's because, do you feel like a lot of the telepathic connection is utilizing your same channels that you would be utilizing for your psychic abilities?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So,
how I feel. Yeah,
yeah, it seems to
I
all kind of
agree.
correlate. Yeah, it's very,
Yeah.
very interesting. Now, what would be the biggest thing that you've learned from like connecting to them, and like what can you take, so it what has kind of benefited you in that experience and kind of been able to grow and expand your energetic connections to them and grow that relationship? So anyone that's having these experiences, I think initially a lot of people will get freaked out by them. I don't know all of your experiences,
Yeah.
but I'm thinking a lot of it must have been a little, whoa, this is
A
this
lot of
is
it was
unusual.
a little unusual. Yeah.
How did you handle it, and how did you adjust to now it's just like another conversation with us, but it's another life form? What would be your
Yeah.
recommendations of kind of sitting in with this energy and just allowing it to happen? Like what would be your recommendation?
My recommendation would be to sit with it from a perspective of being a polyamorous ET. You're looking at it from the perspective of meeting your counterparts and meeting
Mm,
people who you have like these extraterrestrial relationships with.
mm,
So you could almost thinking of it like dating.
okay, yeah, yeah,
That's the way.
interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting because you will meet beings that you have such profound connections with that
Mm,
are really in your consciousness because they already have these relationships with you, like, and
mm,
they're your counterpart. They're in a relationship with you when you're there as an ET, if that
mm.
makes sense.
Yeah.
So, so
That
it's really
that's
cool.
interesting. That's the first time I've heard it explained like that, but it does make
Yeah.
sense. It actually it makes a lot of sense looking at it. And what's
It's
interesting
yeah.
is for me as a medium, and in my own path, in my own journey of finding my guides, connecting to ascended masters, to angelic presence, it's very similar, and I think we're utilizing a lot of the same channels. I just think
Yeah.
it's just a slightly different vibration, and I think we could pick up those energies a little differently. But it's interesting because I would definitely say anyone out there that's listening, everything we're talking about, you can absolutely utilize your intuitive ability and build upon that and those psychic pathways, because if this is something that you're really interested in and you want
Yeah.
to try to make your own connections, I think harnessing your own internal energies is just going to align you with this stuff. It's going to kind of open you to it a
Yeah.
lot more. It's going to empower you to be able to do it and I guess hold that connection. Now, were there
Yeah.
were there things, did you find that you would go through a period where you were trying to connect or trying to bring that energy in and you couldn't? And was there something that transitioned, or was this like the connection happened and it's been there ever since?
So I really never have had a problem connecting with them.
Hmm.
There was a time when I was 21 that I went through this very intense spiritual awakening where I had a lot of telepathy and stuff that was awakening. And that was very uncomfortable for me to kind of like know what people were thinking and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And so I kind of shied away from connecting during that time because it was kind of like going through puberty, except as a psychic.
Hmm.
It kind of sucked. So
Growing pains,
growing
growing and learning.
pains. Yes, exactly, exactly. Growing pains. So I kind of shied away at that point, and then ever since that point in my life where things got really low, I've always been very connected. I think something happened just to shift at that time that I was 21, where I was no longer focused on other people for my spiritual connection. I was focused on just myself.
Hmm.
And I was really focused on getting it from just me instead of from external sources. And that was when I started my Reiki as well.
Hmm.
So that
Yeah.
was when I started really to get connected. And I've never had a problem not being connected ever since. If anything, I'm too connected.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I say. It's like a volume knob. Even doing the mediumship work, it's very similar. We just have to kind of learn to turn that volume knob down so it's always present. That energy connection is always there, but it's a matter of, for me, my perspective at this point is turning the volume up or turning it down. But I think something
Yes.
anyone that's listening to us, I think something that they can take from this is it's truly like what you speak about. You really had to go inward. You had to go on that very personal journey. And it truly is. I think we have to learn about ourselves. We have to be really introspective and, on a soul level, like what are we passionate about? What is that path and what is that pathway what does it look like on a deep soul journey? And I think
Right.
by doing what you did, that was the way to kind of allow that to unfold, and I think if anyone
Yeah.
that's truly so many people they want to bypass that, or they want to jump into the other end of the love and light spectrum. And truly, like, where the magic happens is that deep introspective, sometimes
The
that'll open up that,
transforming.
yeah, that, the dark night of the soul, or things that will come through that, but that could be the most
It's funny you
absolutely
mentioned
beautiful
that.
period. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's totally how I feel is that like lots of people they skip the darkness transforming period
Mm.
of their life, but
Yeah.
I haven't. I've been through things where actually the lady who trained me in Reiki, she tried to convince me to kill myself. Like she had
Ooh.
hallucinations and she
Wow.
like, yeah, was like convincing me that I should kill myself because of how like my journey was like realized or something like that, which is
Hmm.
total bullshit. Like
Yeah.
that's completely bullshit. That's not a real thing. Your journey is constantly changing, so you don't have to worry about your journey like ending and you need to expire or something like that. Like you don't
Hmm.
have to worry about that at all.
Uh,
So
well, I'm
it's
I'm I'm assuming you're no more in contact with that person.
yeah,
That's
no more in
crazy. Yeah. Woo.
contact.
That's wild. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So that was her.
Mm.
That was just the kind of experience that she brought to the table. And it was just kind of a dark time in my life because I didn't have anybody except for her for support. And I was kind of like mean to myself about it because I thought that I was the more responsible one, so that I should be held responsible for everything instead of looking to other people for their responses to be fair. I was looking at myself like very unfairly and giving myself no benefit of the doubt. So
No, but it was
I needed to learn to connect inwardly, and
mm,
I did that. And I felt like ever since then I've been a really connected person.
yeah, it definitely sounds like it. It definitely sounds like that shift occurred, and then you've been able to just keep growing and transcending from that shift.
Yeah.
Lotus.
Yeah, it's been
You know,
great. Yeah.
is it Lotus Rain or is it Lotus?
Lotus Rain, whatever.
Okay. This is fascinating, and I appreciate you being vulnerable and sharing your story and
Thank
coming
you.
on today. I'm so grateful that you came on because sometimes or sometimes people have these kinds of experiences and they don't share them and they think that they're all alone. And there's more people out there that have these kinds of experience than everyone realizes. When you had
Yeah.
the initial visit, you said you were 6 or 7. Was there some kind of event that was the precipice? Was there something that happened that they, at that moment, they came to visit you? And also, what did it, I know you were young, so you're just developing, but did it affect you, the powerful energy that these beings have? So the first,
Yeah.
was there an event that brought this up?
Was there an event? The event was that I was astral projecting.
Um,
That's what was happening, that they came to visit me for that reason. Because I was astral projecting in my sleep into the fifth dimension, and then I was having these awake encounters with them where I was like transcending the dream state. So it was like a lucid dream where I could feel and touch and see. And she, and he, Bashar, came to me one night and asked me if I was ready for contact and kind of tested me and he showed me this like monster shape-shifting form that he has. And then it kind of shape-shifted away. And he was like just testing to see if I was like able to handle it. And I couldn't handle it. And so then I told him that I needed his help to save Arcturus because Arcturus was caught in the Orion expansion, and I needed his help with that. And so he took his spaceship and used it to help move me and my family to from the Illuminati reality into a different reality, and moved me to a parallel reality. And ever since then, I've been a parallel reality specialist for the Yale.
So what
So
this being, is this a being of light? This isn't anything demonic.
no, it's a being of light. Yes,
Okay.
they're made of light, technically.
So do you think that you said it was like MK Ultra type of background your family was involved in? Do you think that
Yeah.
because when they do that, they do all these hallucinogenics and they do all this brainwashing and then it and these scare tactics that actually bring people like to a different frequency? Or do you think that
Yes.
presence in that frequency, like you just naturally have it like a higher frequency?
I think so. I think from going through that, from the experience of transcending that, I have a naturally higher frequency, and I've experienced a lot of miracles with it. And a lot of miracles I've experienced have been in front of other people too. So I've experienced things that I would say will put me in a higher vibrational perspective, I would say.
Do they have some kind of suggestion of a path for you to go on? So for them to come to you, I know that when they receive a certain vibration, it's almost like a call out. So then they found you. Did they actually have any kind of uh, direction that they wanted you to take because you now could make contact with them?
They just wanted me to follow my excitement.
Hmm.
That's what their main message is following your excitement and pursuing your passion in each and every moment to the best of your ability is the highest vibration that you can be in as a person. So that's what they wanted from me, was to pursue my excitement. And the yo-yo wanted me to offer my expertise as a parallel reality specialist, someone who can see into parallel realities and interact. And so I offer my expertise with them as well.
Do you have any kind of intuitive message about where we're going in the future here, being that we haven't admitted that we had any contact yet with Earth, with extraterrestrials, and I guess what they've been up to, our government? Do you have any knowledge about where the direction the extraterrestrials are taking with humans?
Yeah, I believe that they are kind of sided with China right now and want a bipolar world order and want war to stop. So they're in surveillance right now of America, and I believe that there'll be a Cold War to try to decide some of these things without war. And it will be something that there can be more bipolar world order because of the ETs. I think that the ETs will come in with Russia and China probably. And just because they just want there to be a bipolar world order.
What about the
So,
drones? What do you,
what?
the
The
drone,
drones?
these drones and all these plasmas, do you believe any of that is extraterrestrial
I
life?
believe, yeah, a lot of it is extraterrestrial life, and a lot of it is also China surveying the United States.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's what I believe anyway.
Now, do you feel so a big so Lotus? A lot of what you do is also energy healing, so that's a big part of your kind of. Now, is that would you say opening to the extraterrestrial contact is what aligned you to do energy healing? Is that something that kind of awakened that, or what's the
Yeah.
connection to the energy healing and the ETs, and how did that all unfold?
Yeah. Well, basically what happened was I started having extreme contact with the Pleiadians when I was in 21, and they didn't show me any of their forms physically, but I was having contact with them with their light and their consciousness. And they essentially guided me to believe that I was one of that I had had a Pleiadian life with them as some sort of princess or something, some sort of delegate. And they led me to believe that I needed to release that lifetime and be more and make my spaceship, my head more like a landing pad for a spaceship. And they said they wanted me to become like a consciousness that was like a clear channel. And so they explained to me how to do that. And that was when energy healing came into my life, was at the
Hmm.
same time. And it was with that woman who unfortunately had some negative beliefs and stuff that she was taking out on other people. But I decided that I'm going to get retrained in Reiki because I just want
Hmm.
to get reattuned.
Mhm.
Because anyone can attune you, but I just want to get reattuned, I felt like. But it's just, but the big part of it is transforming darkness into light. And that's what I did. And that's what I do for a living is transform darkness into light. And I feel like it's such a blessing to be able to do and help people. And I don't ask for any money. I just ask for a little review on my page to say thank you.
Now, is that something that you have to do one on one? Is that something that you could do with a group? Is that like a remote healing energy that's transferred, or like what
It's
is?
remote.
Okay.
Yeah, you can do it like I can send it to like through like right now,
Hmm.
or I could use your picture and send it to you through time and space that way as well.
Now, what would be your suggestion for someone that wants to start trying to find their path to working with their energetic body to be an energy healer? Where did this unfold for you, and like where do you see it going? Like what's the path? And someone that's curious about this, what would be your suggestions for that person?
Sure. My suggestion would be to look at your local classes and see if there's a Reiki class near you to get attuned to Reiki because that is probably the biggest and best conduit that you can have with your spirit to understanding how to translate and become a clear channel. And then from there, you can look at channeling and look at all the ETs that you can bring into your life. And like, I, am open to it polyamorously, but you don't have to be, obviously, to be open to their guidance and receive guidance from them. You just have to be open as a clear channel for them to be able to come into you and convene with you on their vibrational level. So you just have to raise your vibration a little bit because they have such high vibrations. It's hard for them to interact with us sometimes. So they just need you to meet them halfway.
Now, what are the varying degrees of trance that you've gone into connecting to them? Is it like full body takeover, full body trance? Are you semi-aware? Does it vary depending on which connection it is?
It's usually always aware and it's usually always telepathic.
Mm, okay.
But I always usually forget when I'm channeling, like when I start channeling, I'll forget as I'm channeling. So it helps to record it.
No, that's cool.
I can
Very
remember
cool.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Have
So
you?
what do you? Well,
You go. You ask a
no, no,
question.
no, no, no. You're good,
Great
Mary.
question. I just wanted to ask you if you've ever read, because some of what you're saying is drawing me to the Palladian workbook, and it talks about cod channels. Have you ever seen that book?
No, I don't think so.
You have to read that book.
Okay, sounds good.
Oh no, it's
Ka,
excellent book.
ka channels.
Cod channels. It's called the Palladian workbook.
Okay. The
I'll,
Palladian
I'll
workbook.
send you the link when
Yeah,
we're,
send it to me.
because
Yeah.
it's everything you're saying. I identify this, and it's the Palladians, and it's the Palladian I guess process.
That's so cool.
Very cool book. It's
That's
very
really
right up
cool.
your alley at Lotus. It's right up your alley. Okay,
Cool.
you ask her.
No, I was just going to ask. So, what's in store for 25? Are there going to be any live workshops? Are there going to be, what's the plan?
Well, I want to get reattuned, so I'm gonna go with my boyfriend Jeff, to get attuned. We're gonna get attuned to Reiki together. Um, and then probably gonna try to do that this year. And then I'm thinking probably I'm gonna have some more contact experiences and keep reporting that. Um, and keep channeling.
So the funny thing is, being part of two psychics, sometimes we get information for our guests. What's funny is there's got to be a book in there. There definitely has to be a book in there. I'm seeing it. So if you don't have one already, or
Oh,
there's
I
not
do
one in,
have a book,
is there?
yes.
Okay, so there's
Yeah, you
is
picked
this
up on
released?
that.
Yeah, yeah. Is
It's
it?
not released yet.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's not released yet. I'm still
Nice,
working
nice.
on it. I still
Uh,
have beta readers
oh, very cool.
that
All
I'm
right.
working with.
Oh, good, good. All right. So you're gonna send us each a copy then, right? When it's released.
Yeah, when it's released, of course, absolutely.
Well, we'll have you back on to promote the book.
Okay, sounds good.
That's so funny. It's so funny how, because see, we already did a reading, so we're kind of tuned in, and I think we're all, when we're doing this energy work, we can definitely connect on an energetic level. And it's funny because the energy of that book, it's so powerful in your collective energy field. I think there's going to be a lot that's going to come to you from that. Yeah, it's
Oh,
definitely going to
that's so
be, yeah,
cool. Thank
very good
you.
energy, very good energy in
Thank
that
you so
aligning. You're
much.
welcome.
That's
I
great.
saw you walking up a ladder, but it wasn't like a skinny ladder. It was a wide ladder, and then you stop and you're kind of and you're not all the way up to the top of the ladder. So wherever you are, you're about 75% of where you're supposed to be. So you're up,
Okay,
I'm kind
That's
of
good.
up. And then I saw a
that's
big
pretty
door
good.
swing open. Um,
Lots of room for growth, room for career expansion, all that good stuff. That's what I get when you talk about the ladder and only being three-quarters of the way. It's
Yeah, that's great.
yeah, good
I
stuff.
believe that
Cool.
our civilization is headed in this direction. So the fact that you said you always have an open channel, you do have this this higher frequency. You're very like your mind is like all open, right? Your chakras are all open, spinning.
Right.
And I think it's very welcoming. And that's part of
Sure.
it, you know, it's like no judgment, which the more that you accept
Right.
and the more then you receive. Did you
Mhm.
receive, you had Palladians, you mentioned this other species. Have you had any others that you'd like to, did you ever have any contact with any grays?
Yes, I've had contact with Grays,
Mhm.
physically. I've seen their ship up close one time as well. Um, I've also had contact with praying mantis ET, um, with an Arcturian, I believe, and with Orion.
So when you saw the space, are you saying like it was you had an encounter with a spaceship where you were standing with it, or you're saying it's telepathically you visited?
It came to visit me one night when I was stargazing out and it was really cold and it came and kept me warm until morning and kept me from getting any frostbite.
So did you have any reaction physically? Because I've heard that sometimes you can
It
have
was scary.
radiation or not.
Um, physically, I was kept warm because it was a very cold night. It was negative 17 degrees and I didn't have any frostbite from staying out all night.
Oh,
So it kept me warm.
Hmm.
oh my goodness.
So that's what happened.
Oh.
Um, and it was kind of scary for me to see it up close because it's very big.
Mhm.
You don't expect how big it is, but it's quite big.
Wow. Was did they it just it was appeared over you, or did it land?
It appeared over me, as I believe I was actually dying because I was started to go into hypothermia
Mhm.
because I had taken a shower and gone out stargazing, which was a stupid thing to do. And I started going into hypothermia, and then all of a sudden the spaceship came and four of them landed over me and said, "Which one do you choose?" And I chose to go around them because I thought I was getting out of this body. So I said, "I'm getting out of here." And they said, "No, we think you chose this one." So then that spaceship came in line with me and kept me warm that night. And I woke up and um, in the sun and was fine the following morning.
Wow.
Now, how long ago was that experience? That
That
was
was a while ago. That was, gosh, I was only 19 when that happened.
oh wow.
18. I was young.
Was that the most surreal experience that happened, or has there been other things like that?
There have been other things like that. Like one time I was driving on the highway and the Yale ship came that I work with and flew over me. And it was a triangular ship. And as it flew into the horizon, I could see it head along the sunset and it could see the landing pads of the lights and the rectangular area of the ship kind of blotted out against the sky and I saw it from the top and then from the side and it was very surreal as well. But that was a fully awake experience, not with any hypothermia or
Yeah. Wow.
anything. That was just all awake.
I can see
That's
why you're
pretty.
writing a book because
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's a lot. It's you're a special human being. I'm writing a book actually because I have extraterrestrial and angelic contact
Oh,
uh,
cool.
about miracles, and I had a near-death experience. So I identify with a lot what you're saying, and honestly, I haven't heard very like strong details and specifics. So it's nice to actually hear some of this. Because when you do have contact, it's so surreal and bizarre. You can't wrap your brain around it. You say that I'm like literally something's wrong with me because does not feel common.
Right. No, I know exactly how you're feeling. You feel like it's so surreal and it's hard to wrap your brain around exactly what happens because of how it kind of shoves you out of body a little bit and it kind of forces you to understand that you're an energetic being and it's not a physical experience that's happening, it's an energetic experience. So it kind of forces your perspective outside of body a little bit.
Yeah, because it's not like anything you can compare it to. And the energy is so different than human energy or what you've encountered here on Earth. It's just it's very powerful and it's not something you can compare it to. So
Yeah.
I had an experience with orbs, and there was someone that I met, and they had an unusual frequency, like the way that something came to you. He had experiences that were in his lifetime, I believe, that were strained him, and he had these orbs, and they literally followed him. And you couldn't see them looking here, but if you held up your phone, you could see them, and there was hundreds of them. And
Wow.
it was very strange. Like for me, just seeing the video and feeling the presence, it felt like uncomfortable because I hadn't endured anything like that. And then I remember I had videotaped on my phone. And then when I went back to look at the videotape, I couldn't look at it more than once, and then I had to delete it because it just felt so peculiar. So I can't imagine what you've experienced. I really can't. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
I
It's
appreciate
been a
it.
lot.
What?
It's been a lot. It's been quite a life. Quite a life of experiences.
Wow, wow. And how did you pick the name Lotus?
It came to me in a dream.
Mhm.
Crushed red lotus came to me in a dream in Chinese. And then I picked Lotus Rain because of the nature names that the hybrids pick in 700 years from now. Basically, I'm Lilly Stargazer, and there's another lady that channels me 700 years in the future, but I'm also me right now. And
Wow.
I had this kind of like spat with her out loud that I am who I am, and I'm just going to live that loud and be that person and not need her approval. But so then, because of that, I chose the name Lotus Rain because that was my new nature name to take after Lily Stargazer. But they still call me Lily and the Yale Yale.
So this being 800 years from now, it's a consciousness that's trying to channel through you? Do you go into trance for this?
Yeah, I don't go into trance actually. I'm 100% telepathic when I channel. And I'm kind of waiting for her to have more time for me because Elle's channeling her right now. So I'll waiting for her to have more time to channel with me in the future.
Mhm. Wow.
It's a wild journey you're on. What it really is. I think we're all on this wild journey, and it's nice to be able to talk to other people about these types of things. I would be curious, what would be your suggestion for someone that has had an experience and not really sure what to make of it? What would you say to them to be comforted by what's going on, or to kind of ease into this, or if they're not ready for it, do you hold off? Like, what would be your suggestion to someone that has had an encounter, or someone that feels like they're connecting but isn't sure what to do?
Isn't sure what to do. Sure.
Mm,
I would definitely reach out to a nice group online, like maybe the Bashar group or my First Contact Friday group, and just share your experience there with a nice, small, close-knit group of people
mm,
and get experiencers' feedback on what happened. Because a lot of times, what happens when you have these experiences is they're really nice, but then you go into dissociation from the process of the vibration being so high,
mm.
and you convince yourself that it didn't happen.
Mm,
So
okay.
the thing to do right away is to get help from other people, other experiencers to ensure that you're valid and make sure that you believe that about your experience before you move on so that you don't start interjecting
Mm,
time travel bits and mind wipe bits instead of the real thing that happened.
mm, okay.
Because you
All
want to
right.
get as close to the real truth of what happened as possible.
Yeah, great information. Great suggestion.
Yeah,
Mm.
cool.
So mind wipe,
So,
that's from not being able to handle, is it because people can't process it and handle it?
Yeah. Basically, when you go through these experiences, you're normally given a standard mind wipe of what happens. And then you can remember from there. If you remember it yourself, then it's fine. But otherwise, it's considered a violation of your like personal being for them to be there with you and not mind wipe you. So they do have to mind wipe you when they're with you normally. Um, and then you have to remember it of your own accord.
hmm, interesting. So, I guess they can't interfere with it's like our own energetic free will, and they would be infringing on that in a sense if we don't naturally remember the process or we don't tune into it. Do you think there would be a reason why someone wouldn't be meant to remember it? Like, is the time not right, or is it just it's your own personal journey that you're on and a discovery that you have to make? Is that like part of it?
I think it's a self-discovery you have to make.
Mm,
Like, I've been through experiences with people where they did remember something strange that happened, or they didn't remember something strange that happened. And I've had both experiences where they remembered and they didn't. So I have kind of learned to just trust your own instincts
mm.
and just trust your own memory of things that happened because you just never know. Sometimes there's shenanigans, interdimensional shenanigans that could be afoot. So it's good to be aware of that kind of thing.
Now, what do you think humanity has to look forward to for this connection that the aliens are trying to make with us? Or is this something that's been going on for a long time and the governments that be or the powers that be are trying to hold back on that because we're not ready for it? Or like is this more of the aliens really trying to connect to us and we have government people in place or systems in place that are not allowing it to happen? Or what do you think? What's your perspective on that?
I think the ETs are trying to make contact with us right now, and I feel like the governments are kind of suppressing it, but it needs to be understood that this is open contact, like this is the frequency that we're having right now.
Mm,
So that's the planet Earth that I encourage people to be on and want to experience myself. So that's the planet Earth that I'm creating, co-creating, is the open contact. So
yeah, yeah.
so I
We're
focus
all
on
raising
that.
our hands.
Yeah,
That's why we
yeah.
have Lotus Rain tonight. We're going. I mean, we're just adapting all new guests here so that we can bring this information out there. And I'm so grateful that you came tonight. And
Thank you.
I hope you come back and you share your book with us when you have your book finished.
Mm,
Yeah, I
yeah.
will.
Exciting.
Sounds good. Yeah. Thank you
Mhm.
guys so much for having me. It was such a pleasure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you so much for being on.
And if we have some kind of event in the future, maybe you can come to New York or New Jersey and you can visit us and you can speak.
Okay, sounds good.
Is that good?
Sounds good.
All right. Well, thank
Awesome. Thank
you so much and blessings to you.
Yes, thank you so
Blessings.
much.
Yep,
Good.
have a good night, you guys.
You
Have a
too.
great
Take
night.
care.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Oh, okay. Wow, that was unbelievable, right?
Yeah, yeah. Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. It's funny when things like that come to me, like as far as seeing the book around her, and it's interesting Then who do we have another caller we're doing, right?
No, that's why I was like, I was looking at, I didn't want to roll into more topics, and I felt
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a long time. She was speaking for 45 minutes. That's a long time to be a guest. And
Mm,
I know we have someone coming on in a minute or two, and I didn't want, she had come on during that interview and didn't
mm.
to come on at 9. And I had sent her a message, so I didn't want to cut her off and not say goodbye and have this one hold and then not, you know what I'm saying? Here we are. But
No, it's good. I think we're very tuned in tonight. So the next caller is in for a treat.
yeah, I think I honestly, it was interesting because I've been learning now, and it came through for me from this.
Mhm.
So when I am just hearing a voice, I get so much. When I then take on the person, then it looking at them affects my intuitive abilities. And it has to be gradual. So I listen and then I can look, if that makes any
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, it does. And you know what it is?
What? Tell me.
Your clairaudience is just more tuned,
Yeah.
and can kind of decipher the information, so it's not overwhelming to you. To where I think your clairvoyance is probably still balancing out, or you're probably still. It's almost like that process is still unfolding, so it can seem very overwhelming. Like for me, I actually, once I hear the voice and we connect on an energetic level, it'll happen in many different ways. So, like when I'm connecting to someone's loved one, they may imprint a vision and I may also hear it at the same time. So they're utilizing all the senses. So I think it's just your body starting to align and you're opening to that energetic, all those different energetic forms, the different clairs. And I think you're going to start combining them and almost get like this kind of hybrid psychic ability where you'll start seeing different senses pick up things in a certain way because again this is a language of energy, this is all energy, this is all frequency, and our body will react and tune to it in different ways. So I think it's just you're on that learning process and it's growing. So for you, I mean, I think that's a really cool thing because it just says there's so wherever you're at now, you have so much more room for growth because you haven't even tuned in that clairvoyant
That's
center yet.
valid
You know
what
what
you
I mean?
said.
So
It's so crazy. So I started out, I was empathic, right? Or I actually had all these abilities, but I shut a lot of it down because it's so strange to me as a child. So it was mostly empathic and I wasn't grounded. And then I was clairvoyant, so I would see things in my third eye. And the angels were visiting and that was going on. And I was seeing I had all these different realms that I would connect to. And then I started doing these lives and doing more intuitive work. So when I read someone, I don't look at them, I hold their hands, and then I get their information based on their voice. And then after we get going and I click in, I catch in, then I look at them and then I get more even. But what's interesting is that the communications that I've been having now via lucid dreams are actually spirits are talking to me. Whereas before they just visited and showed up, and now they're
mm,
actually, I can hear them. So I can hear them. Whereas before I wasn't hearing them, and I hear them saying things to me. And when I do these readings here now, like I'm not looking at the person, I'm just listening and I get all this information. And so it is fascinating because it is unfolding and it's getting more powerful. And I don't know, Michael.
yeah, and we start understanding our own body's energetic systems more and more. We start tuning into it more and more,
Yeah.
and then that connection just grows and it compounds. It's like anything else, the more you do it, the
Yes.
more you grow and learn, and the more skilled you become in that area. It's the same thing with reading energy, with understanding our psychic abilities, with mediumship. It's a process that we can learn and grow in, but you just have to be very consistent. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like us, we're doing this all the time now, so you're going to start seeing lots of different transition. And what I always tell everyone is don't think how it's coming to you now is how it's always going to be, because it will blend, it will morph, and it will grow, and it'll just get more and more powerful. So what happens is, I think a lot of times if people just start focusing in on one way and they start blocking out the other, then it can kind of stifle your growth. So the biggest thing is really being open and just start learning to feel that energy without it overwhelming you. And it's a slow process. You slowly, it's the volume knob and you're slowly turning it up, and sometimes we have to learn how to turn it down too, and that was a big thing with me. When I started really jumping in and I was doing a lot of readings, what I found was when I wasn't like really being aware of my energy and I wasn't working on it outside of my readings, I would start feeling very depleted. And it was weird because as I would, look into how other people did readings, or I looked into just other energy work, I would hear people talking about being very uplifted from it. And, like I heard one of my mentors talked about, he would finish up doing readings and it was almost like he had several cups of coffee. And I'm like, well, why am I not feeling that? And why am I depleted rather than being uplifted and in a higher vibration? And it was a process. And I had to look at, what was I blocking out? And exactly that's what was happening. I was starting to get energy reading in a different form. And I was only expecting it in certain ways. And when it started coming to me in other ways, in addition to my natural, dominant forms of Claire, it started overwhelming me a little bit. And I had to sit into that and I had to work with it,
Okay, here she is.
Oh, cool. Excellent.
Hi. Hello. Can you hear us?
Hi,
Hi, it's Mary.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys? Thanks for understanding my technical difficulty.
No, that is good. Pleasure. Thank you for being here with two psychics. If you can give us your name and what question did you have for us?
My name is Kerry.
Kerry, what is up, Kerry? Where are you calling from, Kerry?
I'm calling in from Rhode Island.
Rhode Island. All right. Excellent. So you are close to us.
Oh, yes. Where are you guys?
I am on the Jersey Shore, and Mary Amy is New York. So we're right there. We're
I
right
used
there.
to work
Excellent.
out of there. I used to be a flight attendant.
Oh,
So,
nice. So what question did you have for us tonight?
well, I just have some questions regarding, my love relationships, I guess you could say. I'm not currently,
Okay.
I haven't been actively seeking
Okay.
anything. Sort of had a partnership that keeps coming in and out, and I've learned my lesson within it. It's, I can't control others' behavior. There's
All right.
nothing that I really want out of it, but it does continue to present itself, this person.
All right, so let's do this. We will connect on an energetic level, and we'll
Okay.
kind of see what's in your collective. I'll start reading the energy that comes to me
Okay.
from your collective, and we'll kind of take it from there. We'll see
Great.
we'll see what's going on. So if you could just give us your first name slowly, and we're going to connect on an energetic level.
It's Kerry.
Kerry.
Keri.
What's interesting? So obviously, calling into a show like this and being a medium, we're kind of tuned in a little bit. We've been doing some energy work tonight. I have to talk about male energy coming in that's around dad's side of the family or dad's energy. Now, as a medium, we establish energy, and for me, it always comes in a certain way. So when I have an energetic connection that's tied into dad or dad's side of the family, it comes into my right side, and I'm feeling that overwhelming now. So I definitely have energies that are so I have to ask, is dad in spirit or is dad still here?
He's in spirit.
He is. Okay, so that's the energy. Okay. Now what's interesting is when I start feeling his energy and I'm connecting to his energy, a few different things are coming out around this. I don't know if I don't know if there was a Bill or Bob that was significant to him or his initial or a B initial that's around you. But I'm getting an awareness of the B initial as very prominent. Like it's an important thing that they're trying to imprint on me. Can you take the B? Is a B connected to him or?
Well, he used to, his middle name number one is Robert.
Cool.
But he used to
Okay.
call me BD, baby doll.
Ah,
It was sort of my nickname.
Oh, awesome. All right. So there's the B. Excellent. I appreciate that, that validation. So I would definitely say, I know you were calling in and you want to know, what's going on. Is there positive relationships? Is there, the love life gonna do well in 25? But I could just tell you, first off, for dad coming in, I have to honor his energy and his
Absolutely.
connection to you. So it's important for you to know that he's around you. For me to connect to him and for him, the middle name coming through the Robert and the B and hear it in that way. I think it's important for you to understand that energetic connection to him. I feel like you're very connected, but I feel like because it came in so strongly, I have to think that maybe are you feeling disconnected or like were you looking for a sign? And the interesting thing, I'm also getting the number 3. Are you one of 3? Is he one of 3 or
He's
more?
one of 3.
He's one of 3. Okay, cool, excellent. All right. So yeah, he's just trying to give me little pieces of evidence to validate him and his connection to you. So that's awesome. He's one of
I've been
3.
talking to him a lot more lately.
Oh, cool. All right. So I would definitely say this is a very good validation for you that you're connected to him. So I would say, like, do you get the signs? Are you hearing? Are you connecting? Tell me a little bit about like what is your connection with him?
I mean, our connection's much stronger in spirit, I think, than it was here.
Okay.
It's been about 10 years now. I wish I could kind of ask him for his guidance again with situations, life situations, relationships, whatnot. But I did just say, he's my forever Valentine. It's something that came from
awesome.
my memories.
Okay. So yeah. So I mean, he's very connected to you, and that's why I think it's very important for you to understand his energy is connected to you, and
beautiful.
yeah, and it's important to understand he's guiding you. What's very interesting. I would try to be very present when you're connecting to him and asking him a question and to try to get that guidance, because the way that I can explain our loved ones, it's interesting. I feel like their energy comes back to us almost in like a guardian angel type form. They can't infringe on our free will, but they can imprint guidance. They can imprint information for our highest and best. And it's interesting because I keep on getting number symbolism from him. So what I would definitely say, if you're not already tuned into the numbers, and it's not just like the 1111, the 222, look for number synchronicities around you if you're asking him a question, because I think that's one of the ways he'll be able to guide you if you're not like clearly hearing it yet. I think you can. I absolutely think you can develop your psychic abilities and get that connection to him. It's interesting because are you getting a lot of connection in dreams, like dreamlike state? Is he coming to you and that's where you're seeing him or hearing him, but not like so much in the waking moments?
I mean, I don't really remember most of my dreams. I have recently sort of, heart bits and pieces, but it's interesting you mentioned the numbers because he had a nickname, some of his friends called him by his football number 66 and his license plate was 66 and I have it now. And when I drive to work every morning, there's a bus number 66 and I always say, hey, Dad.
Well, okay. That's why he's imprinting the number. See, that's why I tell people I'm just a conduit. I'm giving you the information that he's imprinting on me. So just know that's going to be a way he connects to you and kind of reassures you that his energy is connected to you because it's very connected. For me to bring him through this clearly for you and him to be dropping all these pieces of evidence, look for the number synchronicities, the 66. Yeah, absolutely. And what I would say is be really direct. Like, don't give an open-ended question. So I'll give you an example. Like if you really want to try to get guidance from him, hey, Dad, this relationship that I'm going into, is this good for me? And like try to be very direct. I want to know, yes, this is yes for me. And look for the number synchronicities because they will try to find ways to kind of imprint that connection to us in our environment. So, for you, it's definitely going to be the number synchronicities, but don't discredit like hearing things in a dream-like state. I would definitely, what I feel is you're very caught up, like very right brain. So you're probably kind of calculating, very analytical. You might be caught up in like teaching numbers. There might be a lot of, so like, I feel like that kind of pulls your mind into the very analytical state. When we're in that analytical state, a lot of times it doesn't allow us to be present. And and in that present state, that's where the connection to our loved ones is probably going to be. That in that moment is when we're going to get the most divine signs, the most divine connection. So my concern is when someone's thinking a lot or you're very in your waking moment, you're worrying about all your processes and procedures, the to-do list, what you got to get done, the tasks. And a lot of times in the dreamlike state, that analytical mind is shut off and it allows us to be more open and receptive to the spirit realm. So I would start trying to tune in a little more to your dreams and maybe try to journal it. Mary Amy's got a great dream journal you could pick up on Amazon, but learning to kind of connect with spirit through your dreams, a lot of times that could be like the first step of opening that connection. But yeah, the numbers, definitely look into that. And I'm kind of going on and on, so I want to marry Amy. We know
No,
we
that's
got Dad
great.
with us, and
Beautiful.
yeah. So I have to honor his connection to you. I have to honor him supporting you. But I'm gonna turn this over to Mary Amy now, as far as the relationship end
Okay.
goes.
And I have to make you laugh because he didn't really like many of my boyfriends.
That's funny.
I was daddy's little girl.
Cool. Well, that's why he's so connected to you
Yeah.
now and wanted to make his presence known to you.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hi, Carrie.
Hi.
Hi. So I instantly saw a rainbow, and a rainbow is symbolic of promise and hope and new beginnings. And then behind the rainbow, I saw clouds, which actually represent compassion and harmony. And this is good luck to see this. And then I heard welcome to friendship. I also saw it's very interesting because these were all earth elements, I guess you could say, or what we see on Earth, because I saw the rainbow, the clouds, and then I saw that's daytime, and then I saw evening, I saw a moonlight and stars around it, and that represents your emotions are coming to the surface. Right. I then, in regard to, I'm moving into what what your question is. So I heard and saw palms upward. At times you're drowning in sad moments. It's very up and down, and you're looking for balance, and it's time to gather up everything that you've been through the past and to write it down, to release it. Release whatever it is, your pain, your trauma, because you're always present, daytime and nighttime, thinking of this. And it's time now, and you're ready, because the fact that you're thinking of this, which I'm receiving, is morning and night, daytime and nighttime. It's really something that you want. So you've reflected on it. I'm asking you to carve out a place within you for this love that you're ready for. There's some place inside of you that you have to open up and allow this inner life to love. Or any trauma, heartbreak, where it's time to release it. Okay, I saw a polka dot dress, which is emotions and desires. So there is a formula to this. It's time, and polka dot dress, dot to dot. You can handle most anything. I know that. And it's really allowing yourself to have this. Are you ready for this? Are you ready for that? Are you ready to open up your heart and have love and let go of whatever it is that is from the past and have a new beginning? Are you ready for that? Yes?
I don't know if you want me to elaborate.
Sure.
I do have in spirit as well a partner, someone that I was with, and he passed. It'll be 10 years this year. He was with me when my father passed, and then he passed the year after.
Okay,
and it's been difficult. I've dated. I had a 6-year relationship with someone, and it didn't work out. And I've recently, the person I was referring to in the beginning, he is actually an earth sign, and we do have a friendship. I don't know exactly what I'm looking for, and there is just that part of me that still has to heal from that loss, and it's not wanting to. I don't do dating apps. I'm not out there like actively searching, but I will be 40 this year. So, it's in the back of my mind to find that partner again. But,
So what's interesting, since we have Dad's energy so connected, like while you and Mary Amy were talking, I'm trying to pull information from him and just see kind of where his guidance is around you and what can he imprint on me, that he would like to share with you. And the big thing that I sense, like what he imprints on me, I feel as if you're not in the right. It's almost like you need to expand your social circle, or like you're in this box, so you're in this box and it's kind of like break out of that mold, break out of. Right. So what this shows me is, I would say, you almost have to break like a self-limiting belief or kind of challenge yourself outside the norms of what you're doing. And so like how I would take this is if you're always going to the say you're in an environment where you're looking for a connection, you're looking for a new relationship, but you're always in, say, like a bar, and you're always in that type of scene. Well, obviously the people that you're going to meet are going to be there for those things. I almost feel like what he imprints on me is there's an energetic cycle that you need to go through where there's self-growth, there's self-understanding, there's learning, and you're kind of expanding your awareness where it puts you into different social circles and you're kind of challenging your norms. So what I feel like is if there's something that you wouldn't normally do, like, so if you're always going to like you're always going to like a rock concert, you're always there, and you love the live music, and someone all of a sudden asks you to go to like a country show, and normally you're used to going to rock shows, and you're like, no, I don't want to do that. I almost feel like it's like those type of things where you need to go to them and you need to challenge yourself and things that you wouldn't normally do.
Right.
You need to almost expand like your energetic circle so it puts you into new energetic connections. So I almost feel like you would be doing yourself a disservice if you're connecting to people right now in the environments you're in, because I feel like the right person isn't going to be in those environments, or you're looking, or your perspectives will shift as you shift and grow and expand. So things that you thought were important in that relationship or for that person, or these specific aspects of their personality that you thought were so integral, your perspective may shift and you may start seeing what your perfect partner is and what they look like. So that's why I feel like there's an internal shift, and I feel like there's a lot of growth. I think there's a growth cycle that you're going into, that if you're so focused on a relationship and you're not focusing on, breaking down any of those barriers, breaking down any self-limiting beliefs, kind of expanding and growing, I think you're doing yourself a big disservice, because I think that's an energetic cycle you're in right now. And if you're caught up, focused solely on, I need a relationship, I want to be in a relationship, then I think you're going to overlook a lot of beautiful things and connections that can come into your energetic path that can be on a different level, not necessarily a relationship. Because it's interesting, like, Dad, I don't know what the deal is with you writing poetry or painting. So it's interesting because Dad keeps on, like, I'm seeing you and you're actually sitting at like a drawing board writing. What is that? Why is he showing me that?
I mean, I just always, based on the past 10 years or so, roughly 15 years almost, I just have always said, I could write a book with just what's occurred and what I've gone through. And I do really connect well with writing.
Interesting. So that might be it's interesting because I'm being shown a very powerful connection to you kind of putting your emotions or speaking about something, talking about something and putting it on paper and journaling. So what this shows me is I think there's a lot of untapped creativity, and there's probably a lot of abilities that you're not capitalizing on that can project you into other social circles, other connections, other people, other groups, other interests, other hobbies and other skill sets. And I think it's in this growth period that's going to transform you to where you need to be to find that ideal match. So I don't think you should put so much pressure on yourself to have the perfect relationship right now. And honestly, 40 is way, it's still so like we always feel like granted, look, we never know how much time we have, and but I'm just telling you from an energetic perspective, you seem like you're pretty grounded, like you're a very stable person. It seems like you would bring a lot to the table and you would offer a lot to someone in a relationship. So that's my thing is I think don't worry so much about that connection right now. Allow your own growth and allow that path to pull you into the direction it needs. And then I feel like that relationship will naturally manifest in a new environment. And I think that's kind of what Dad imprints on me is, that I don't think you give yourself enough credit for how well you manage and handle yourself and how much you would bring to the relationship. I don't think you give yourself enough credit for all your skills and what you can do and everything, you can bring to the table. So I really believe, if I see that they're imprinting on me a beautiful cycle of growth where you can truly, when they show me this, it's almost like what could happen in like a 10-year cycle, you may be able to compound down into like a year. Because that's the type of energy cycle we're in. So that's the path right now. Find that truly where your soul's calling you to be on, what's really invigorating you, where can you push the boundaries of writing, journaling, kind of putting all those emotions down. I wouldn't rule out you also doing like storytelling, writing, being able to do some kind of, something with that. There's definitely something in you writing and inspiring people in your writing. So I'm gonna leave that there.
That's
And I know
beautiful.
I don't want to overwhelm you with so much information. But
No, that's great. It's beautiful. I think part of me is just closed off, number one, to the relationship aspect of, meeting someone or moving forward through the steps. And there's a part of me that's still, I'm just content with how I am currently, but I don't want to be alone for the rest of my life necessarily.
Yeah.
So it's not an urgency. It's just more
the interesting thing too, just what I'll share you from my medium's perspective, dealing with death and dying, relationships, losing a spouse. I can absolutely say without a shadow of a doubt, our loved ones in spirit want to vicariously live life through us, through our joys, through our happiness. So the happier you, don't think you're doing, the ex relationship or, a loved one in spirit, husband in spirit. Don't feel like you're doing that person a disservice. Because I could tell you, when we cross over, it's not like if you were to find a new love in this physical existence that you would totally be disconnected from that person that you were tied to and had an intimate relationship with.
Right.
We're still connected, and that loving relationship, I mean, I could spend a whole episode just talking about those connections, but I could tell you he absolutely wants to see you live life at the highest, best way you can live it, and if that's bringing another loving relationship in to help you, have those experiences in the way you want, I can say he absolutely honors that. He'll absolutely honor that.
And I hope to meet someone mature enough to realize and understand the grief and pain associated with that, as well as the new connection 10 years later, because of my last relationship, that he was intimidated almost by it, or it was a jealousy.
And there's a process. And I think that's why like dad imprints the energy of focus on this period of self-growth right now, and don't worry so much about the relationship thing, because you got plenty of time for that. Believe me, plenty of time.
I appreciate that.
I want to just add that it's similar to what Michael's saying. I had heard in regard to the romance to resist pushing yourself and allow patience, and all of a sudden you're going to rise above the pain and you'll be ready. I think these are what steps that you're taking is the thought process, which will allow you to be ready. And also it's a way of you reflecting and understanding yourself and preparing. But I sense that if you kind of just let things unfold, when you really are ready, someone will come forward and you'll meet someone, and maybe it won't be the first person, it will be the right one, but not far after that, there'll be someone that you feel like would be a compliment to you. And it's not going to be the same as the other relationships. It's just going to be a different version of you with someone.
Right. And I will admit, I have to stop looking for the person who's passed in others. He's one of a kind, so you're never going to meet the same person twice. But that's definitely been something difficult for me, Everything happens for a reason, so.
Yeah, but the thing about that though is you have an awareness. You're able to kind of take a step back and look at the big picture of things, and you're seeing that energy, that energy block right now, that you are trying to project what you saw in him onto other people. But that's how we learn and we grow, and that's how we start to understand our energy, and we work through those energetic cycles. So there's so much positive energy and so much positive that can come to you in this cycle. Just find that path for self-growth, and everything else is it'll work itself out, and that relationship will manifest. I absolutely believe that for you.
Thank you both so very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
We really appreciate you, and blessings to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care, Carrie.
Bye-bye.
Very nice. Wow, we've had we've had a
Episode
nice evening, haven't we?
42. Ooh, episode 42 in the books. I think we gave callers some great readings, and we had a very, very interesting discussion on ET contact. And it's interesting because, that's an area that I have to say I'm wet behind the ears on, and it's something it intrigues me very much. But what I find most fascinating is the connection between people utilizing their psychic abilities and like the telepathic connection and these energetic these energetic frequencies, these energetic pathways to connect on multiple levels. And it's very interesting because like one thing I notice, and one thing like in my own meditative practices, when we're connecting to, our guardian angels, or we're connecting to an angelic presence, or we're connecting to an ascended master, it's a different energy and a different vibration. And I didn't tell you my ET story yet when I was in deep meditation and I was stargazing, and we'll save that for another episode.
No, just you hit
But
it right now.
the interesting thing,
cut you off. Tell me.
yeah. So the interesting thing is, it was very similar, and I was literally focusing in. At this point, I didn't know all the different names. I wasn't really tuned into, I absolutely know they're there. Just connecting on an energetic level, there's so much there that, just humans don't want to acknowledge. So I knew they were there, but I didn't realize I was connecting to the star system, and I was stargazing to where the Palladians are. And I started getting all this crazy information and downloads, and it was happening almost as if I would connect on an energetic level to a guide or an ascended master, or it was kind of it was a different vibration, and I could read it differently. And then I started getting this weird, almost like downloads, and they started talking about the connection to humanity, and it kind of freaked me out a little bit, and I pulled back from that energy. But it was a very strong connection. And what was interesting is, I think it not didn't freak me out, but I was like, what is this? I don't know. And all the pieces of information that I got, the names, where they were, navigate, like areas. It was just kind of wild, and I had all this stuff written down. Then I'm like, well, let me see, and this is kind of the skeptic Mike that grew up kind of having to, prove my mediumship and prove that, life after death exists. It was one of those skeptical things again. And I started all the information they gave me, not knowing anything about aliens. And I'm going, wait a second, these are the Palladians. This is where they're from. Like all this information that I just got.
Did you see them?
Well, I started opening to them. So they started connecting to me on like a telepathic level. And that's why the vibration was different. When we're connecting to a different dimension, it's a different frequency, and it's a different feeling. So theirs was more of a telepathic feeling. And the only way to explain it, and it was interesting because as we were talking to Lotus Rain, it was bringing me back to, I started hearing it first, and they were just imprinting it on me. And it was a knowing, but then my psychic senses started expanding, and they were utilizing my psychic senses to connect. And they absolutely can pick up on, this person is more like tuned in. This person works with their psychic abilities. They work with that stuff. So it might be easier to connect to that human, and I think some way, whether it's like a radar ping, or they know, or they can pick it up or sense it, they were definitely trying to expand their connection. And then I kind of pulled back from it, and I haven't gotten back there yet. And there's so many other people doing it, and so many other people kind of in that realm now. It's just, I'm more pulled into my mediumship realm and giving the evidence and helping, grieving parents or grieving family members, or so. But it's very interesting talking to people about the energetic connection and like the feeling, and it's all energy. And I think the more we work with this, it's just the crazier and crazier our consciousness is going to expand, and there's no way the stuff can be hidden from us. And this is even just the natural energy healing and all these different healing modalities, and contacting other species, other realms, other dimensions of existence. It's all there. And it really, I believe we are going into one of the most magical times that we've seen in humanity. People are, they're very concerned about like the chaotic energy in the world right now. But I think once we can see past that, and we can not allow that anxiety and to be pulled into that energy, we could see all the opportunity and all the growth and all the beauty that I think can unfold from this cycle.
think we're babies in the scheme of things because
Yeah.
we haven't even tapped into everything that's possible within ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And these frequencies that are coming on Earth and we're being exposed to, which is like what electromagnetic fields, I think it's gonna shift on the Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because you think that there's lots of people that are in contact with extraterrestrials. I don't think there's even 1% of the population, but there's enough people that are going to maybe speak about it to bring our humanity into a more of an understanding, which is, to me, what I get is it's not a negative thing. It's more about they will help us to reveal more about ourselves, right?
Yeah, I think so. And well, I think one of the important things at this point is just we're open to discussion. There's people like us. There's shows like Two Psychics that are bringing these non-traditional kind of alternative topics and stuff that,
Unconventional.
yeah, unconventional, and hey, let's bring these topics to the forefront. Let's talk about these experiences. And people that are having these experiences that are afraid to talk about it because someone's going to say they're crazy, or what's going on, are they going to be locked up into a mental institution? Well, the more we talk about these things, whether it's extraterrestrials or whether it's psychic abilities or whether it's energy healing, the more we bring this stuff to the forefront, the more people are going to be open to having the conversation. And I think, if we're doing that, we're doing our job. We're doing what we're meant to be doing here. We're bringing it, and we're allowing people to kind of hear it in a different way that maybe they're not hearing it in other channels.
Exactly. And also it might be a way too of um, elevating people's thinking and activating something within them just by hearing the story, right? If they,
Yeah.
and I mean, we don't really know, like, it's like we've had amnesia about our lives and about past lives. And so who knows? So next week, right, so next week, I will be posting on Facebook and Instagram and X about what is our upcoming episode 43, which is next Thursday. And we'll be back again here with a new topic and callers. So I appreciate everyone joining us and listening and viewing.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Joining
Appreciate
Two
everyone.
Psychics with Michael Edley and Mary Amy, evidential medium, intuitive wisdom coach, and thank you.
We will see you next Two Psychics episode. Thank you very much, everyone. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Bye-bye.